If you are a real estate agent and you are tired of paying for ads that flat out don't work, cold calling, door knocking, all the same old stuff that just seems to be getting you stuck in a rut, well, this is the channel for you. We are three rockstar agents who have come together with over 50 plus years in the training and sales industry, and we are hoping to pass that knowledge on to you. So subscribe to the channel and get ready to learn. Let's get started.
Good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. If you don't mind, in the chat, if you can just put in the number of years that you've been selling real estate, that gives me a little vibe for how many years most people have been here, because the market has shifted significantly since 2020. And if you've been around longer than that, you know that we go through a lot of cycles. Sometimes there's buyer years, there's seller years, there's everything in between, and hopefully there's not recession years coming soon. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get into my slideshow.
We see it.
All right.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Now I cannot see the questions. So, Jeff, if you don't mind, if there's anything pertinent to what I'm doing, please, feel free to let me know. So this class today, we're going to talk about, I call it read their minds, be their hero. And I'm going to teach you the preferred terms tool that I use. I work with both buyers and sellers, and I'm going to show you both so that you can use both in your business. If you don't mind, in the comments, if you could let me know kind of on average and how many offers you write before a buyer goes under contract. For context of this training, I will tell you that usually 80 to 85% of my buyers only write one offer. Before I took over my buyer business, I was just a listing agent. My buyer's agent was writing 5, 6, 7 offers with people in Cincinnati. So the goal here is to reduce down the amount of offers that you're writing so that you're spending less time writing offers with people and people aren't getting frustrated and feel like they're spinning their wheels. And the second question is, how many calls do you get on average from other clients when you have a listing asking, what are your ideal terms? Is it under contract? What kind of occupancy are you looking for? Are you okay with the rent back? Those types of questions. How often do you get those? Again, I don't know what the market is like in your area. I know that we are having a thunderstorm right now, if you haven't heard that. Anyhow, in our market in Cincinnati, they always say we're behind the times and very conservative. So we are still fielding multiple offers for listings when they go on the market within 24 hours, and really good houses that buyers want. We have a lack of inventory, and we are writing, we have to write within 24 hours if our clients want the house. So we still are in a very super seller focused market here. I know that's changing in different parts of the country, but that's kind of the perspective that caused me to create this tool. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I know that Jeff did a really great job, but I want to give you some context because I feel like if we can connect in some way, it will help you understand kind of why I put these tools in place and how that you can use them, okay? So I'm a mom. Now my kids are 14 and 13, and they're doing multiple sports. So I am full-time sports mom and high school mom right now. So I am really only working 20 hours a week and being all the things to everyone else as well. This is the kind of property that we sell in Cincinnati and in my area. A house like this is I call it a rectangle house because that's what it looks like. Nothing exciting about it. In my market, this type of house goes for about $450,000. And it is, a 4-bedroom, 2 to 3 bath house and it's a little over 2,000 square feet, maybe 2,500 square feet, something like that. So that's the kind of house that I'm selling here on a regular basis. Um, I am selling about 13 million a year, and my average price point, my personal average is around 550. So that tells me I do a lot of business planning and I know my numbers, and I need to sell about 24 houses a year. So that's two a month. That's not bad. And that affords me, I make about $300,000 a year at a part-time job. This is truly a part-time job for me, because of the systems and tools I put in place. And I'm sure some of you guys would like to make that kind of money with less time put in. And so this is one of the tools that you can use to do that. I also do online trainings, which you're seeing me do right now. And I am an author. I wrote a book, I think in 2017 or 2018, called The Playbook for Success. And it's really for new agents, because I kept getting questions about, what would you do? Or what do that kind of thing. So I talk about that in there. I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. I don't know if anybody else is, but I sort of follow them around the country now that I have some ability to do that. I've spoken at Inman and other national events. I think one of you guys has seen me in Nashville, and I've been in Arizona for different things like that. So, been doing this for a while, and finally, my favorite candy bar is Reese's. In case anybody else loves Reese's or wants to sweeten me up with anything. Okay. So with that context being given, the goal here with preferred terms, whether you're working for the buyer or the seller, is to make it as easy as possible on the cooperating agent to succeed. Okay? If you're a new agent, this may sound kind of crazy to you because you're like, why would I want to do that? But trust me, if you make it easy on them, and you work in the same market or you're working with the same agents over and over again, you create a reputation, and that reputation precedes you. And so when you're writing an offer on something and they see that your name's attached with it, they'll know that you know what you're doing because they've experienced that before. I have a guy in my market that does a lot more listings than I do, and I sell about 4 to 7 of his listings every year. His name's John. And John knows when he sees me calling after a showing, he knows that Amy's bringing an offer. And he tells his clients to accept my offer over anything else because he knows that it's streamlined and there are no problems with it ever. So once you create that reputation and you're consistent with your tools, you will be able to win in multiple offers. So the name of the game is getting the offer accepted, right? It doesn't matter how clean of an offer it is or how smart you are with your client. It matters that the person that has the ability to accept it accepts it. And you need to make it as easy as possible on that agent to succeed. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. And we also want you to be able to get your buyer client the house or get your seller the exact offer they want, right? A lot of times when I do these preferred terms, I'm a big person that believes in setting expectations up front and future pacing my clients. So when I take a listing, I tell them, hey, I have this worksheet that Jeff has a copy of. I have this worksheet, and when I'm working with a buyer, for example, I'll say, I have this worksheet. I'm going to call the agent and ask them for all the terms that they want so that we can write that offer. Or when I take a listing, I'll tell my clients, I'm going to bring you almost perfect offers where we're not going to have to counter. They're surprised by that. But I tell them, I'm telling these agents everything we want so that all you have to do is accept this offer. Okay. And if I don't tell them that, they're confused as to why we're not making counter. But if I tell them in advance, hey, I'm going to give them all the terms that we want, then they're prepared to receive an offer that is literally what we're writing. So, you know that joke that everybody says, "Oh, I should just send a blank contract and have them fill it in." That's what we're doing here. We're doing that. So, in terms of, preferred terms for buyers, my question is, how many times are you writing an offer with a buyer before you're getting one accepted? If it's any more than two, then you need to make some changes in your process. And frankly, the buyer will learn after they fail the first time what they can do better the second time. And you need to give them that feedback. It's not always the most wonderful feedback to give if they're lowballing all the time, or they've got poor financing or whatever that may be, but you have to give them the feedback. So the preferred term sheet. And again, this is for buyers, and I shared this with Jeff. And what I told Jeff is, and I'm going to show you a picture of this so you can take a screenshot if you want. This document that I have can be written by you. I just used Google Word, but it goes along with our contract in Cincinnati. So we have a 15-page contract, and it goes through page by page kind of the terms. So I use it as a checklist, and I fill in my contract as a result of this. So if you have different pieces or things that you're filling in on your contract, your page might be different, right? So ultimately, the preferred term sheet is here to build rapport with the listing agent. It allows you to make them your friend and help them make this circus easier on them, right? If you've been a listing agent and you are getting 100 phone calls and you're starting to get offer after offer in, and you can't even return the calls, right? This sort of allows you to create that rapport and that friendship, right? Jeff, did you have something you wanted to?
No, no, no. I was just letting people know I did put it into the chat here, that worksheet.
Perfect.
So it's
Thank
there. If
you.
anybody wants to get it, it's in the chat.
Wonderful. This also is a tool to use that will allow them to understand. And I say this to my other co-agents on the phone. Hey, I'm calling you to ask you some questions today so that I can write an offer that your buyer or your listing client can literally accept, and there won't be any back and forth, because we all know that the more back and forth you get, the more time goes on and the more offers come in the meantime. So the goal is to get every term correct so that they're not having to counter offer and they can just accept the offer. Then, so sometimes when you make the call to the agent, so I take this question, I get on the phone with the agent and I ask them the questions. I say, I have a list of questions so that when I write an offer to you later today, your buyer can accept the offer. And there won't be any back and forth. So sometimes what will happen is I'll ask a question, and sometimes this happens a lot, where they don't have an answer, right? Like, oh, I haven't talked with them about what stays and what doesn't stay yet. Or we haven't discussed if they need post occupancy, or if they're willing to pay for that rent or not rent, or these types of questions. So this, trust me, it seems like you're being a pain by asking the questions when they don't know the answer, but they're really glad that you brought this up, because then they go back to their clients and they get the answers so that they'll have them for when other people ask, and you will be the first ones to get the answers so that you can put them in your offer. Let them tell you what they want so they don't change it later, and cause it to go into multiples, because you're delaying, the acceptance. And they'll tell you things you don't ask. So I'll show you a picture of my notes on another slide, but a lot of times, as you're going through these questions, and, depending on what kind of agent you've got on the other side, this list could take 10 minutes to get through and it could take 40, just depending on how talky they are, right? But they could literally tell you, this is a divorce situation. Just in the progress of your conversation, or she'll be like, I'll be honest with you, these people are 80 years old and we're not going to get a quick response to this. Different things that would help you, different nuggets. It's like you're being a detective here and you're gathering information to help your client win. So that's what this is about, is just the building rapport. Once you build rapport with that agent, it makes them your friend. I don't know if you guys have coming soon in your market, but we have coming soon. And so if I think I have a client that's probably going to write an offer on a property that's in coming soon, I'll call and do this call before it goes on the market so that they're not like crazed with phone calls to be returned and all of that. So this is the preferred terms worksheet that I use. And these are the things that I go through when I'm talking to the agent on the phone. What I want to do is kind of give you just quick snippets of sort of the purpose of this and what this means in case you're not familiar with some of these terms. Sometimes in the past, depending on, your feelings on these things, buyers want to write a letter. This has worked really well for me in the past. If the buyer wants to do it, it talks about, why they're moving here, their family, that kind of thing. It kind of endears people together. It has been the sole reason why my clients have gotten offers. Also, my phone call to them in the relationship have been the reason why my clients have gotten offers, and they haven't been the highest priced. So all of these little things add up to getting you the offer. Efficiency is my middle name, and I am extremely competitive. So I am always thinking about how I can win or what is going to give me an advantage or bonus points. So I ask, are your clients willing to receive love letters? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. I just make a note. How do you feel about escalation clauses? Most agents will say, I'm not interested in them, or you can do what you want. And that helps me know sort of what they're directing other agents to doing. Is there a warranty included with the house? Or I'll say, it doesn't look like there's a warranty included. Is that correct? And then I'll make that note. Would you like my lender to give you a call to talk with you? Are you familiar with, my lender? That kind of thing. And they'll tell me yes or no. Or they'll say not till after we get under contract or whatever. I don't want my lender calling if she's feeling bombarded with too many calls. Compensation, that one was added recently with our new changes. That conversation and questions just kind of goes, hey, have your sellers been prepared for the new compensation model that we're now offering, and are they prepared to offer buyer's agent compensation? And hopefully they say yes. We've prepped them for that. They've received a net sheet, or maybe they haven't. And this lets you know how reinforcing that needs to be, or if you have to have a conversation. Jeff, do you have a question?
Just real quick, Yvette asked in the chat if you could just explain this. And again, some agents have
Yeah.
used this, some agents haven't. As far as the love letter, just she's asking, what is a love letter? Can you just
Sure.
explain that for some of them that might not know?
So a love letter is a letter from a buyer to a seller. And basically it just says, hey, my family and I are really excited. We'd love for you to accept our offer. I'm going to raise my kids here. It looks like you've raised your kids here. I've got 3 boys and they all play sports, and we really want to get them in the school district. And we love your finished basement because that's where they'll play. And that. So that letter will go with the offer to try to create like some heartstrings to attach to the offer so that when the seller gets it, maybe it stands out a little bit from the rest of the offers that don't include personal information. For sure, there are ethical questions about this and different things you don't want to say or whatever, and that's up to you. I was just sharing that from my perspective there. Um, Going on from compensation, we have closing. When are your clients looking to close on this property? I will get an exact date if they don't have one. And then occupancy. Are you needing occupancy after the closing? How much time are you needing? And what date would you like to be out? If they say, oh, a couple weeks, I'll say, can you please give me a date? Like, or I'll pull up the calendar and say, okay, so you want 2 weeks? Okay, how about we give them that weekend and then we close, or then we occupy on that Monday? Would that be good? Always giving them what they want and maybe padding that a little bit so that it works better for the seller, and then your offer is more appealing to the seller because you're giving them everything they want, right? Um, this post occupancy term, would they be expecting to rent, or would they expecting not to have any rental payment? And usually that's no. And that helps me go back to my buyer and be like, they're not wanting to pay rent. So then they at least know that I asked that question. And then in our MLS, we have a post closing occupancy agreement. It's like a 1 page lease that says like who's responsible for the utilities and what the date is of the transfer of the keys after the closing. And so I just confirm with the agent that they want to use that. If again, like if they're new and they've never used that before, then I'll send that over to them so they can get familiar with it and kind of be a resource for them. Um, Inclusions and exclusions. This is one of those where you just don't want to have to go back and forth in a counteroffer for bar stools, right? So what is included? I make sure that I itemize everything that was listed in the MLS. I identify if anything else is included, and then if anything is not included. And this isn't a negotiation. I'm just asking the question and I'm putting it in the offer, okay? Because that makes it real clean and everybody knows what it is. And there's no back and forth. Financing, I usually share with the agent what my buyer's financing is. So I'll say, hey, they're conventional, they're putting 20% down or whatever, or we have cash, I have a proof of funds letter. Does that sound okay to you? You know, that kind of thing. So they sort of know what's coming in terms of financing. Um, I don't know how many of you guys are using appraisal gaps. I use an appraisal gap when we're in multiple offer situation, when my client is getting a loan and when they're paying over asking. So if the house is listed at say 400 and they're offering 425, I'll put in an appraisal gap of 25,000 all the way to the minimum of 5,000. And then if that appraisal, you know, doesn't come back where it is, then they'll supply the gap. Um, this has come in really handy because when there's multiple offers and that price escalates, this really solidifies that these people are going to be no problem paying this money for the house. And again, that's a higher level tool for another day, perhaps, but it's really great to discuss with that agent, make sure they know what it is, and be prepared for that. I'll fill in how many days they're good with the loan approval, and I'll try to make it really short. And so they're really impressed that our lender can do that so quickly. Loan commitment and earnest money, I'll talk with them a little bit about what they feel like is fair. And then I'll ask them about inspections. And that sounds like, hey, are your clients expecting the buyers to do an inspection? And sometimes they'll say, well, they'd really rather not. Or they'll say, well, of course, they believe everyone should have an inspection, you know? So you got to get that sort of feedback and information from them. And then how do they feel about making repairs, or are repairs something that they want to deal with? And again, most of the time, no. So I'll let my client know, hey, I called them and this is what they said. They don't want to do repairs. So we're going to make an offer for information only on the inspections. There's a couple different ways to do the inspection. No inspection, you can do it for information only. So you can do it for just one thing. And then HOA docs, if there is an HOA, I always try to get those documents before we make an offer so that we can make the offer non-contingent on anything in the HOA docs. And then I ask, are you taking offers until a certain time? Or when are you going to be looking at offers? And even though I'm asking those questions for information, I'm still submitting my offer immediately because I know, and many times I've won because I'm the first one in. It looks so amazingly good that they just stop all the showings after that. And that's what you want. You want to stop the showings, you want to stop the offers with an offer that's so good that they'll pull their property off the market. Let me tell you, that won't happen without you knowing the terms, and it won't happen without you going over asking. Because if you're just going to make an asking offer the first day, they're not going to take it off the market because they're going to want to fish around and see if they can get something higher. So part of this is you really have to give a strong offer in order to get it accepted. And then, the document set has any notes or things like that that you might be interested in keeping track of. Let's see here. This, for example, is I was on a trip and I needed to gather some information, and I didn't have my document with me. I had it on my phone in a picture, and then I just went down the list and kind of wrote down all the things, like see at the top, divorce, wife in Fort Thomas buying. And I got all the information about the occupancy, the dates that they wanted, what's included, what's not included, all of that. So we can, and if that agent isn't familiar enough with appraisal gap or some of these post occupancy agreement, I could explain that to them there so that once they get that offer, they already are armed with information that they need. So with a combination of this information and preparing your buyer to write an offer in what I call an offer coaching session. So I take my buyer through the offer before we write an offer so that they know all the terms and they're prepared for what they want to put in the offer, so that when I have this conversation with them with what I've learned from the agent, they have already gone through this, they already know what they're comfortable with, and they're prepared to make that offer. So, I mean, doing this has, again, almost every time I do this, my first offer with a buyer gets accepted. 2 times it didn't get accepted, and it was because there were over 25 offers on these 2 properties. And they came in top 3, but they were not number 1. They would have had to really go over asking, and they weren't ready to go so far over asking their first offer. So the next one
Real
is a
quick,
little quicker.
Amy, real quick, just before you go on the seller one, there's a few questions in here for the buyers. I mean, and some of them apply to this sheet. Josh, are you able to, Joshua, I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself? I can certainly read your, there you go. Would you mind just asking Amy your questions? You got some good questions here. Go ahead and just ask her while we're on here. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in Utah. Thanks so much for putting this on, Amy. We really appreciate it. Just a quick question. I was wondering where you're getting your buyers leads from right now, because here in Utah, it's a very much it's changing to a buyer's market. Sellers are taking 60 to 90 days on the market, depending on location and condition of the home. So I was just curious, where is it? Google Leads? Is it Zillow? Is it Realtor.com? Is it Calling Your Sphere, SOI?
Yeah, so after 20 years in this business, my business comes from repeat clients and referrals, warm leads only. I don't use social media very often, and I'm not paying for any leads whatsoever.
Awesome. So like with those repeat clients, a follow-up question to that, what are you doing that is creating those clients to come back to you? Because we all know it's not just you picking up the phone and they're like, hey, I'm thinking of Amy. Obviously, there's some connection that is the reason for them reaching out.
Great question. So I do a really great job. And because I'm not overwhelmed with too many leads or too much business, I can focus very closely on them. I'll sell 24 houses this year. And then the other thing that I do to make sure that I create community with my clients, next Tuesday, for example, I'm having a pie day. So I will reach out to all of my clients, all of my connections, even people that I haven't sold a house to, but they know that I work in this community, and they're colleagues of mine, or they're help, they're working on the park board with me, or they're a basketball mom with me. And I invite them to come and get a pie, and my branding's all over it. And so all these people now know that I sell real estate, and that's where my business comes from. And it reinforces. In the summer, I have an ice cream social, and I am very specific about placing my business in front of people only in my community. So I'm really hyper local where I'm spending my money and efforts to bring that business in.
Awesome. Love that. And then I had a question. You talked about a post-closing email that you sent to the seller. I've got one that I'm happy to share with you if you want to see if there's anything you're missing on it. But yeah, would love to just jam out and see if there's something I'm missing or if there's something that I could share with you on that.
I think maybe you were talking about the post-closing occupancy agreement.
Yes. That's correct. I
Okay,
think.
so that's totally different. That's like a lease to rent back after the closing that our board writes for us.
Gotcha. One of the things that I love doing is I ask the seller, and when I'm representing sellers as well, I will actually send questions to my seller asking, hey, what's the garage code? What's the details on the HOA? What are the utilities that need to be changed over? And then I send that over to the buyer, and that seems to be really something that the buyer's agent feels
Yeah.
super helpful. And I asked the sellers to do that as well, seller's agent. So
Yeah.
I've got a whole email I can send you if you want to share that with everyone.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cool.
What else, Jeff?
That's pretty much it as far as this
Okay.
here. Why don't you go on to the seller sheet?
Okay.
Do that. See what other questions come up.
All right. So the preferred term sheet for the seller. So this is you, and you're a listing agent, and you have a listing, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to provide all the same information to everyone at the exact time, making it as fair as possible. I can't tell you how many times I take a listing and I get, throughout the day, I get calls and they're like, tell me what I need to know for an offer. And maybe I'll forget something, right? This allows everyone to have the exact same information so that everyone can write the exact same offer if they choose. It makes sure you don't forget about key terms with one agent versus another. It allows the buyer's agent to share with their buyers so they can understand. So I always encourage the buyer's agent to just share the preferred terms with their clients. At closings, when I'm the listing agent, the buyers sometimes will be like, we really like that list that you made us so that we could write a good offer. That was, like the buyers are saying that to me as listing agent. So that is really helpful for a lot of buyers, especially if they're failing to get offers accepted. This is literally us telling them what they can do to get their offer accepted. It creates a productive conversation around anything that needs to be discussed in advance with that buyer's agent. Sort of allows you to vet that buyer's agent to see if they know, okay, if they're with it, if they're good to respond, all those things. And it allows them to write an offer that can be easily accepted versus countered. And, once you are in multiples, that price keeps going up. So the sooner you can get that offer accepted, the sooner you're set, right? So here's one caveat that I want to make sure everybody understands. This is the document that I will put with my listing. It will go on the MLS. It will be attached with my listing so that every agent has it. Just because I have things written on this page does not mean they will follow it. Okay? In fact, there are some agents that will not follow any of it, write an offer, and then we'll get 5 offers and we won't even respond to theirs. And then they'll be mad. They'll be like, why didn't you even give us a chance? And I'll be like, because your entire offer didn't follow any of the terms that the seller was looking for. And they'll say, well, we can write whatever we want. Yes, you can, but we don't have to accept whatever you write. So this is how we can get the information out there. Also, this allows you to get on the same page with your client, right? How many times in the past have you taken a listing and maybe the seller says, well, I just want to collect offers all weekend and see what the best one is. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. The listing agent doesn't want that. The buyers don't want that. The buyer's agents don't want that, right? So let's put together something that if this offer came across the table, you're going to accept it, right? Um, so it talks about this is my personal like rules. I don't do escalation clauses. I tell people to make their best offer up front. I tell them to assume there are other offers and make the strongest offer. I can't tell you how many times I'll call an agent and say, we didn't accept your offer. And they'll be like, you didn't even come back to us to get highest and best. I don't do that. There's not time for that. You make your highest and best offer when you write your offer because nobody has time to go back to all those people and ask all those questions and then them respond. It's not effective or efficient. So submit offers ASAP. Seller will take first offer that fits their needs. And again, the seller sees this too. So they're on the same page. We're all working on the same page, setting those expectations. I put in inclusions and exclusions, occupancy. A lot of times I will put in the exact dates if I know the exact dates. Sometimes people haven't like already bought a house yet, so they don't know. I'll put in the financing. I mean, this is red and underlined and everything, and nobody reads it. But the letter has to have verification of income, assets, and any requirements, and it has to be included with the offer. Inspections, I always do a pre-inspection on the property. I always share it with the buyer, and they can go through with the inspector, or they can zero out of an opportunity to take that. I know this is a little bold, but I choose the title agency. Normally in Ohio, the buyer chooses the title agency, but I'm to roll this real smooth and keep things going. I like to use the title agency that I use, and they're the best, and they roll this through. And so if you tell them before they make an offer, then they can put that in that blank. And I include their fees, and then I list all the documents that are attached. So when I list a property, I have a packet. It has the property disclosure, agency disclosure, whole house inspection, preferred term sheet. Sometimes the seller will write a letter to the buyer talking about, things that I can't talk about, like how safe it is, or how great the schools are, or how easy it is to find parking, even though it's in the city, stuff like that. And then this is just a part of what is shared. And then if I get a call from an agent or I get a text, do you have any offers or things like that? I'll say, did you see the preferred term sheet attached to the MLS? Please make sure that you go and print that out. Please know that we have already had it inspected. And so with these tools, we are streamlining the process all the way through, removing contingencies and getting to a very smooth process very quickly. In most cases, you're going to get offers that are either exactly like the preferred terms, or they will not take any of the preferred terms into account with their offer. And I tell my clients that. My clients, like I said in the beginning, were really surprised a lot of times when they would get a perfect offer that they wouldn't need to counter. And so then I started telling them, I'm going to give these people the exact terms that you want. So let's talk about what you want. And then when I bring it in, they're like, oh my gosh, how did you do this? This is magical. I'm just sharing the information, just like you can do. So that's sort of how I use the seller sheet. And again, I would just go through your contract and make sure that all of the blanks are filled in, and you have a full list that's no more than one page to include with your listing. What questions do you have about what I went over today and or anything else? And Jeff, it looks like you have some stuff.
No, I just want to say I love that last page right there. To have that in the MLS where people can see it, whatever. And it makes it so simple. If you get an offer that come up, I mean, here's all the terms that the seller agreed to. It makes it easy for you to tell your sellers, like, look, we got it. Let's accept this offer. Done. Deal, whatever. And
Yeah.
let's move forward, get your home sold, versus all this back and forth stuff. Man, when we were back in that day with multiple offers, which I do think we're going to get back to here eventually, I think that's going to come back when the market opens up again, and it's going to. I think sooner.
Yeah.
We could very easily
Yeah.
be back to that. Having a page like this, I think would be so powerful. Is there a way? Several people have asked if you can you send me maybe just an example like this right here, even Beaconwood Drive. Is there? Do you have something you could send over to me that I could share, or you could share in the chat that just an example page like that of the seller terms?
Yeah. Or you can take a screenshot.
Yeah,
or
anybody on here, you can take a screenshot of that as well. That just
Yeah,
to
but
give an
this is
example of
just
that.
taking you through each
Right.
page of the contract and putting in, what we're looking for.
The key things.
Yep. Yep.
Definitely. What
What other
questions?
questions are
What
you seeing?
questions do you guys have? Go ahead and unmute yourself and
I got
throw out
one.
something. Jim, go ahead.
I got one. Hey there, Amy. Good morning.
Hey, Jim.
I'm here in Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah, I was interested in to asking you about. You said you were putting the inspection report in, and up front, and I'm just curious about that. How that affects your negotiating, and or what are you working with the seller on prior to the listing? So you've done the inspection. What are you going to fix or not fix? And how are we going to negotiate against the inspection, or, is it just going to be the list price you come up with is going to take into context the things that need to be fixed
Yeah.
or that kind
So,
of.
Jim, this is the pre-inspection is a high level skill. Okay. I've been doing pre-inspections for over 15 years now, and I do them on every listing I take because it saves time. We do them, and a lot of times we're able to sell the property as is. So we
Mhm.
tell the buyer, I have a notice of inspection, and it says, "Hey, we've pre-inspected this house for your convenience, and we've priced the property according to the condition that has been shared. Please see
There.
the copy of the inspection and make your offer according to what you see." And then they can make the offer, 10,000 below if they feel like they need money for a roof. They're probably not going to get the house, but they can do that. Or they can at least know the condition before they write an offer. I've had agents. So I have a course, a buyer or a listing course that I've been selling for years. And this is part of the course. And I've had agents do this, and they'll call me, or agents even in my own community that have buyers that buy my listings, and they'll be like, the buyer loved this. It made them more confident to write a stronger offer because they knew that there was nothing major that was wrong with the house.
Right.
So, but we don't, like, normally I don't require any repairs, unless it's like a gas leak or a water leak that's going to cause like additional damage. We're basically just disclosing everything, and the buyer can decide what they want. They can also make the offer and ask for a repair in the offer. Again, that's going to kind of risk their offer from being accepted. But what it does is it removes that secondary negotiation where it's like, oh, now we have this inspection and we want $20,000 off for this or that. Nope, you're going to do that up front so that we can just not take your offer and go with the people that are being reasonable. So,
I definitely think it's a good idea to do an inspection, but I just was wondering about that because oftentimes, if it's an FHA loan and they find things that the lender is going to require repairs on where the seller didn't feel like they wanted to do them, but maybe it's a roof that's not insurable or this or that the lender's going to require that they repair before they'll.
right. And that's a financing requirement. That's not anything else. And I feel lucky I'm not dealing with FHA or VA. So,
Got you. Well, thanks a lot. Anyway, no, I got
yeah,
this hammered down. All right.
good.
Amy, not to be like off topic here, but being around for 20 years, and there's a lot of agents in here that have been licensed for a year, less than a year, 2 years, whatever. What would you say to some of those agents? Like right now, it has been a challenging year, couple years for a lot of agents.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I'm in the same. My wife and I are in the same boat as you. We get a lot of past clients and referrals, and that kind of stuff. Just been doing it so long. But again, building that up is right now in this market
Yeah.
as a newer agent. What would be some advice that you would give to some of those newer agents in terms of bringing
Well,
business? Any thoughts there?
well, this is why I wrote my book. And it talks a lot about newer agents, things like creating boundaries, having standards, stop being a people pleaser, be a professional. But in terms of getting business, I don't know how new agents are getting business, but the only thing that's ever worked with me is getting face to face and having relationships with real people in real life. And you know, the most rewarding for me just is to be authentic, to be yourself, to do what you would do anyway. So, for example, I've been real because I have two boys and they play every sport known to man. I am now on the park board. And I work with six other individuals on the park board, and they see my dedication and the way I ask questions, the way I fight for money and fundraise and all of that. And then other people see what I'm doing on the park board, and then they find out I'm in real estate, and they're like, "Wow, she does what she says she's going to do," or I'm the basketball parent that's there coordinating, getting signs out to people, all of those things add up to being an actual human in the community and engaging with people and doing what you say you're going to do. So just having real relationships to where people feel like they know you and they can trust you and they can refer people to you. I have people that refer me that have never used me, but they tell people they need to work with me if they're going to move to Anderson or Cincinnati. So I would say have real relationships. I don't think Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, it's a nice supplement to what you're doing and it's nice for education, like over the top, but nothing beats real human relationships because as a real estate agent, you have to physically be in front of people and you have to work through therapy with them to get them where they want to be. This is about problem solving and negotiating every day.
Oh, 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 hey. Out here on the grind, chasing dreams in the sun, from the Gulf to the hills, yeah, we're